Assalamu alaikum. A very good evening to everyone. Uh, this is Faisal Nadeem from AMP, Association of Muslim Professionals. A very warm welcome to everyone. Today we are here for AMP free employability training program. Topic for today is campus to corporate. Now I would like to introduce speaker for today, Mohammed Rafiq sir, and I would now like to welcome Mohammed Rafiq sir to please start the session.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, everybody on the call. Let me share my screen and then my request is, participants, please feel free to interact with me because we are actually conducting an employability training program. So obviously, there has to be a two-way interaction because this is how uh, we will go about and interact in the organizations also. Has anybody attended my session earlier on communication skills where I was talking about, basically speaking skills? Anybody has attended my session just in case? If yes, please raise your hand. So it looks like nobody has joined me from that. I mean, people who have actually attended that program. Okay, now today we are going to talk in terms of employability training program. There are a lot of things that has to happen from somebody has to move from the campus to the corporate. One of the skills apart from many other skills is the writing skill. Now well, you were all in the schools and colleges and institutions. What used to happen was, you are given a topic, I mean, preferably something from the books that you are studying, and then you are supposed to uh, write something on that. But when you enter into the corporate sector, the expectation is slightly more than that. Here, what happens is you will have to write on topics which are not ready-made. We will see what are the writing areas that will be coming into in an organization while you're working. They are all areas where you will have to use your creative skill. You will have to use your learnings, all that you have sort of gathered over a period of time while you were studying. But here, yes, as we said, you don't have inputs from the textbook or from any formal books or anything of that sort. You will have to see the things that are required or the areas that you're working on, then basically build your writing on whatever you are trying to write your output as. So let us get started. This is the agenda that I have sort of planned for the day. First and foremost, we will see how it will be. In terms of introduction, I'll introduce as what is the writing part of it, and then we will discuss something on what happens if there are no words, no books, things like that, and just an imagination. Then we will get into key aspects of writing. We will see what are the stages in writing, and then we will, as I said, we will have to see how the writings are different from what we have studied while we were students in the institutions to what we, I mean, basically you will have to write while you are in the organizations. Then we will see what is good writing, and then we will also see what matters while writing, and then what things you will have to pick up so that you can be a better writer. So these are the areas that we will sort of focus on in next 45 minutes to 1 hour. So is everybody with me on this? Is it all fine so far? Please raise your hand while I ask so that at least I get to know as to we are all on the same page. Let us move forward. Just imagine a situation. What would happen if there are no words? All the words, whether it is English or Urdu or Marathi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, whatever language we are talking about, all the words are withdrawn. There are no words existing in the world now. And then assume a situation where uh, there are no books. Now, that type of a situation, how are we going to handle it? What is going to happen? It's going to be very, very terrific. You can imagine, how the world is going to look like, so very empty without any things on the books. This is how the malls would look like if there are no writings on the wall, there are no hoardings, no, signages or anything of that sort. And this is how the roadmaps will be, or the direction indicators on the roads, where you will have nothing written on the play cards. Obviously, what is going to happen is we will have no idea as to what has happened in the past, and absolutely no idea as to what is going to be the future. Like, for example, I am telling what is likely to happen in next 1 year. We have so many plans. We are constructing a building, how our economy is going to grow. These are all the things that we are planning in future. If I were to tell you, I'll have to only tell orally. Now, the problem with oral communication is it is only temporary. We will see that also. So it's going to be a very, very, very complicated type of a situation. And obviously, we are moving in that type of situation where there are no words, no books. Then we will enter into a world where there are, we are living like primitive, human beings who lived, a couple of thousands of years back, where, they were living bare minimum in jungles, because there is absolutely nothing that is available at their disposal. Okay, so that was the idea as to what the world would be if there are no books and words. Now, you would have heard this statement: "The pen is mightier than the sword." They say that a pen can do so many things which even a sword cannot do. Let us see how we sort of develop on this particular statement, working forward. Okay, now we need to understand what is written communication. This was one of the definition of communication, which says a skill. What communication is a skill used by a person to convey ideas, concepts, or informations to others. In return, the other person responds to the understanding. The way I am doing, I am talking to you, I am communicating some information to you, and now you are responding to me by, say, for example, whenever I ask a question, you raise your hand. So that gives me an indication that you have understood what I have said so far. Now, this was in general about communication. Now we will see what a written communication is. Written communication is one of the types of communication in which the writing is a means of exchange of ideas, concepts, or information in the form of written words. That is the only difference, because communication can be done through speaking, can be through gestures. Like, for example, you can see my hands and my head, my eyes, or my lips are shaking. You can understand few things with that itself. Now, apart from that, that is what we called as body language. And then you have written skill, then you have the spoken skill. So these are the ways and means of communicating. Now let us move into the key aspects of communication. What all is required to say that, this is what is happening in the written communication. Today, our focus is not in general about communication, but we will focus very specifically about the written communication. Fine. Okay. Now we are talking about key aspects of written communication. इसमें क्या होता है? The reader and the person who is written it, both of them should understand the language. Like, for example, I have written this line on the slide. Now you should be able to read it. Only then the communication is complete. Second is, we need not have to be face to face. If I write it on a piece of paper or write a letter or an email, I can send it across. You don't have to be present in person to communicate in writing. Then it can be in different times. I can write now and send it to you so that you read it tomorrow, day after, or half an hour time, or whatever it is. We don't have to interact on the same time. The way you do while you're talking, speaking, while speaking, both the parties need to be present on the same time. But here what happens is you can have time lag also. The next thing that is required is the writing is influenced by the mood. Like for example, somebody is angry now, while he's writing there will be some things that can show off saying that that person is angry. Or the culture, some places, like for example, calling somebody by name is not a problem in the western world, but now in India we normally call sir, madam, and things like that. So it has influence from the culture also. Then also in the language that we speak, in some languages it is very very respectful to address people in different tones, in different titles and things like that. Another key aspect of writing is it has permanency. That means once you write it doesn't get destroyed. Now while speaking, say suppose you have gone to, like for example, now I'm talking to you. Now if you miss out something, you will have to go to the recording only to see it. It cannot come back on its own. But when you see a things that is written, you can revisit that again and again, again and again. So there is a permanency in the writing aspect. Okay, so far so good. I mean, are we all aligned as to where we are in terms of uh, the communication key aspects? Can you please just thumbs up saying that that's fine, going well? Please interact, because only then I will be able to know whether we are going together on the topic. Okay, thank you. Now, what are the stages of this writing? See, everything has a stage. It starts from somewhere and then ends at somewhere. So we will see what is there in terms of stages in writing. The first and foremost thing that is there in writing is ideation. You will have to get an idea as to what has to be written on. Like for example, now I have made a presentation on writing skills, so I have an idea as to how do I write about a writing skill. The next thing is the flow. What should I talk? I had told you the agenda, how I'm going to present my talk today. So that is the flow. The third one is we do a draft, because normally what happens is in writing there are few few changes are likely to happen. So you get an opportunity to write a draft copy, and then you can review, revise whatever you have written, and finally you publish it. Like for example, if you are sending a letter to a principal saying that a leave letter, or for example you are writing an application for a job in the organization, now you write a letter. Now that letter you write it as a draft, review that everything is fine, and then subsequently you submit it. So that is the process in terms of stages of writing. Okay, now everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to make a progress. Now, even in writing also, or in general, if you want to make a progress, all of us want to be in a developed situation. We want to make a progress. I'm sure we also want, whether at individual level or at the community level or at the country level, all of us want to develop. Now what are the key things that are required? Like for example, you would have seen there is a difference between, say, western world, that is the America and Europe, versus India. Or within India also, there are different communities. Like for example, Hindus are there, Muslims are there, Christians are there, Buddhists are there, Sikhs are there. Now everybody is on different platform in terms of development. Some of them are more developed, some of them are less developed. Now, can somebody know as to what is it that makes the difference between different communities or different countries? What is the key that brings about the difference? So the key thing that is there is the what we call as excellence in reading, writing, and speaking. Speak also you can do only when you write. Are we all agreeing to whatever has been said? That you need to be skillful in communication skills to be progressing. Are we all aligned on that? Does everybody agree to that? If you agree, just raise your hand and say that yes, I agree that we need to be good in speaking, writing, and then reading. Yeah, can you put up your hand, please? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so let us move forward. Now there are different types of writing. Writing is different things that has to be written. Now today I'm not going to talk more about the general writing. We will see from only two angles. One is from the work point of view, and one is from the personal point of view. When we say professional, we are talking about if you were to work, whether you are an entrepreneur, that is you have your own business, or you are working for somebody else in an organization. What are the things that you will do? You will have to write letters, you will have to write emails, you will have to write reports, you will have to write instructions. If you're an engineer or something like that, you will have to write instructions. Then you will have to write proposals, wherein you will say, okay, a quotation to your customers or things like that. Then you will have to write presentations that you will have to present to your um, customers or to your suppliers or to any organization for that matter. So you will have to work on that. Then you will have to write books also, not as a as an employee, but as an individual. If you are working for some publishing company, then obviously you may have to write books also. Then you may have to write articles, you'll have to write news items that will appear in the newspaper. Then you may have to write notifications. You would have seen there are so many notifications that come from the government side, like for example scholarships ka hota hai, or if there are notifications about admissions, there are notifications about jobs. So all these notifications also somebody has to write if we are into a particular department. Then there are memos. Memos are written internally in the organization. So while you're working in an organization, you will have to write the memos also. No, on the personal side, obviously, so many things are there. You write letters, you write emails, you write messages and things like that. Fine. Okay. One of the things that you will have to keep this in the mind very, very clearly, that bad writing is like a broken pencil. It is pointless. That is what the statement says. That means if your writing skills are not good, then whatever we want to communicate with other people, that goes for a toss. It miserably fails. One has to have very good writing skill, not to score marks, because that stage is over. Probably if somebody wants to go for higher education, that is fine. But I'm saying here what we mean by communication is there is going to be a lot of interaction between employees within the organization. So one has to have a very, very deep skill into writing. But it is not very difficult. All that somebody has to put in little bit of effort. We will see what is required. Okay. Next, all of us want to say, sir, tell us, what makes, writing very effective. Effective and good writing. What does it mean, to say that? What is effective writing? That is, whatever I'm writing will make the purpose fulfill. Do you guys want to know what the effective writings are? Can I have a raise of hands on saying that yes, we want to know what effective writing involves? We want to learn that, we want to know that, and we want to use it. I'm waiting for your participation, because unless and until there's a two-way participation, then it's not going to make very good impact. And I want all of you, whoever are there in the call, to participate fully in the session. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, one of the things that is required is the completeness. Whenever somebody is writing, make sure that you write the complete thing. When I say complete, it doesn't mean complete sentence. What we mean is whatever is the purpose, make sure that you write complete thing without leaving any gaps in between. Gaps in the sense, like for example, you are writing a letter to an organization applying for a job. Please do mention that what are you applying for, because many a time you shouldn't be an assumption saying that okay, the organization has given advertisement, they would be knowing as to what is this application for. No, We are not going to wait for that. Rather, we ourselves will tell that based on that, advertisement, I am responding to the advertisement by applying for this particular job. Second thing is clarity. See, writing skill is where you don't have the other person sitting in front of you. He's somewhere else. You cannot make any assumption. While writing, you will have to make things very, very clear, saying as to what is it that you are trying to communicate. The other thing that is required for effective communication, it has to be simple. When I say simple, don't use too long sentences, or don't put too many ideas in one sentence, or don't use too many complicated words in sentence. It all depends on who is reading it. If I'm writing it to a junior, I don't need to write something very complicated. But if I'm writing to a newspaper or writing in a book, probably I can take the liberty of using complicated words. And the next thing that is required is it has to be direct. Don't beat around the bushes. Many a time it happens like we have the habit of writing too many things, when we want to write. Be very, very specific. Write short sentences and write directly. I want this. This application is for the particular job. Or, please do this, please don't do this. Whatever you want to write, please do mention it very, very straightforward and direct. Don't try to beat around the bush as we do normally in the colleges. While we are writing the answers, we tend to go all around the world to say uh, a particular thing. The next thing is be courteous. See, when you are writing anything in the organization, make sure whether you are writing to the people on above you or writing to the people below you, you need to be very, very respectful. You need to be very, very courteous. Just because somebody is writing to a junior, it doesn't mean that hey, you or something like that. Nobody likes that. So we'll have to have the decorum of the organization where we are working. The next thing is whatever is being written, make sure that the writing is correct. Correct in the sense there are no spelling mistakes, because many a time it happens that people tend to overlook the grammatical errors or the spelling errors. You should make sure that all these errors are taken care of, and make sure that none of this exists in the writing whatever is being shared. Okay. Now the next thing is we will see some of the documents that are very, very critical, very, very important, and it has to be written. That is, there is no way somebody can sort of escape. You may say that, sir, instead of sending email, I may send a voice message. That is possible. But these documents, whatever I'm going to discuss now, are documents which are very, very sensitive. And many of you, once you get into the job, will have to work in these documents. Highly sensitive communication, this happens between government organization, between one department to the other, between one country to the other country. Like for example, some message is being communicated from India to US, or from India to any other country. So that is a very, very sensitive and very, very highly what to say, a secret information that is shared between the organization. Now that documents have to be dealt with we whatever we have seen, what is required in the effective documents, all those parameters have to be very well addressed up. Then we have legal documents, you have documents of properties, you have documents of cases that are being fought in the courts. So all these are documented in detail, and it has to be error free. There shouldn't be any errors. The next one is government orders. Like for example, now in Corona period, you had so many things. You will have to undergo lockdown. In lockdown, what all is there and what is allowed, what is not. All these documents have to be very, very clear and very, very concise. You can't write 10 pages and release the document. You will have to be very, very concise so that people who are reading it can understand it thoroughly without having any confusion, and then adhere to that particular orders being given by the government. The next thing that is required is the business contracts. There are many contracts that happen between organizations. One business does contract with another business, other organization. Like for example, I am into construction business. Now I will have so many contractors who will be working under me. So we will have so many contracts being signed between us and them. One business will have contracts with the other business. So those contracts have to be very, very clear and very specific. The other thing is the property documents. You would have seen, so many of you would be having property documents, where your house documents, whatever is the registration document, or your vehicle documents, your RC book, and then things like that. So all these are very very critical, very important. You, like for example, I am assuming that most of you would be having a vehicle now. Without an RC is going to be very complicated. It's a very very sensitive document and very very important document. You can't just say that even if I don't have it's okay. No. License is another important document. You need to have it very handy and precise, with no mistakes of date or your address or your telephone number or your age or anything of that sort. Any mistake there is going to be a big problem. So all these documents also need to be handled very very cautiously. So these are some of the documents. This does not be contain every possible documents. I just shared few documents just to understand. There are so many documents which have to be in the written form. You cannot have this documents in any other form. All these documents will have only written form. And I'm sure going forward, when you are in the organizations, you will have to handle these documents one or the other way, and then you will have to work on this. So make sure that all the effective writing skills are taken care of while handling or dealing with this documents. Is it fine? Are all fine with whatever has been shared till now in terms of documents? Is it all making sense? Please raise your hand so that I understand. I can also make sure that I'm in line with your expectations and then trying to communicate whatever is required. Is it all fine? You're able to get what I'm trying to say, that all these document types require very good writing skill. Yeah? Can you please put up your hands? Okay, thank you. Let us move forward. Now, I would like to show you some of the examples where, while somebody is speaking, you wouldn't know what word he has uttered. But when somebody gives it in writing, then it means something totally different. So one has to be very, very careful about that. Like, for example, advise and advice. Both of them, when I say advice, it means both while speaking. But while writing, when I say advice, means nothing but offer a suggestion. But when I say advice, that is ADVICE, that means guidance for action. I am seeking somebody's action. But when I say ADVISE, that means I'm suggesting somebody to do something. Here I'm asking somebody to help me. Here I'm telling somebody to do this. But when I'm uttering the word, I say advice. But when I write, it means totally a different thing. Like, for example, next word is amiable and amicable. Amiable is a friendly person, amicable is a friendly relationship. Third word is, like, these are few examples. Like for example, dual and dual. DUAL is double, but whereas DUEL is nothing but competition between two people. But when I say, you wouldn't know which did I say. I am only saying dual. Let me take one more example. Like for example, isle and isle. See, this isle says it's an island. ISLE is called as isle. Isle matlab island. ASILE is nothing but passage between two rows of chairs. So there are totally two different things. But while uttering, I say aisle. But while writing, when I write AISLE and AISLE, it means totally different. So one has to be very clear while writing as to what is it that I'm trying to say. If you use interchangeably one word with the other, it means totally different. The last one is very very critical, in the sense I think we many a time we make mistake. In fact, I also make mistakes saying that there is dear, THERE, both of them, I when we spell when we speak, we say dear, but both of them are two different things. When I say there, that means it is there, here, there. But when I say there, that means it belongs to somebody else. I'm saying it is yours. It belongs to them. This laptop or this pen belongs to there. So here it means the person. The other way is the direction. So one has to be very careful while writing, because this, while uttering, while speaking, it doesn't matter much, but while writing, it matters a lot. Right? Shall we move forward? Can I have a raise of hand saying that yes, we are in line, we can move forward? Okay, thank you. Okay, let us move forward. Now, the important thing, what should I do, sir? This is all fine. What should I do so that my writing skill improve? Everybody wants to improve. You also want to improve. I also want to improve. There is nobody who is perfect in this world. Everybody needs improvement. I also need to improve. You also need to improve. I'm sure all of us want to improve. Do we want to improve? Yeah? Okay. First and foremost thing that you need to have is improve your vocabulary. When I say vocabulary, add words to your language. Which language, I'm not worried, but whatever language you are going to use for writing, please increase vocabulary. मतलब you need to know more and more words. ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लफ्ज़ों का इस्तेमाल कीजिए, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लफ्ज़ों को याद रखिए, तब क्या होता है, your writing also improves because you will be using those words in your writing. नेक्स्ट इज मास्टर स्पेलिंग. देखिए अभी whatever we discussed few last slide wherein slight difference in the spelling, it will mean totally different. So we can't be casual about spelling. We need to be very 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 careful about these spellings. So one has to put a lot of effort to master the spelling. You learn the spellings very clearly, and use the particular word only while writing a particular word. Next is the another important thing that is required is one has to have very good listening skill as well as reading skill. आप जब तक पढ़ेंगे नहीं, आप जब तक जो है वो लैंग्वेज सुनेंगे नहीं, आप जो है वो लिख नहीं पाएंगे. If you want to increase your listening skill, please listen to the news channels. I'm not saying listen from morning to evening, but at least on a daily basis. Like for example, if you want to improve your English language, do attend, participate or listen to English news. Not that on the first day you will understand everything. At least if you know one or two words which you have not understood, you can go and refer in the dictionary. What happens is you will learn those words. So the first important thing that is required to improve your writing skill is you should be a good listener, and you should also read extensively. When I say read extensively, I don't mean reading only the textbooks. You will have to read many other books. Read the general books, read the newspapers, read the magazines, read anything related to the subject but beyond the textbook. So what happens is you will develop deep skill into those particular areas. Improve your grammar, because that is also very important. I cannot discuss about grammar also now, because that is another thing which you see. The thing is, you will improve your grammar once you start reading more and more and more and more, because that will actually improve your skill in the language wherein you can write also better. And the last and the final most thing is you will have to write. We can't write once in examination, or we can't write what is being taught in these schools and colleges alone. We will have to write something more. To have a journal. See, the best practice is to have a writing habit on a daily basis. Have some journal, have some diary, personal diary. Keep writing on different subjects on a daily basis. So many things happen in everybody's life. Take up those things, write it down in your diary, and try and improve your scope of writing. You will have to learn writing by writing only. Like for example, if somebody wants to learn cycling, even if you sit 10 years and read books, you will not learn cycling. To learn cycling, you'll have to take a cycle, sit on it, fall 2 3 times, then definitely you will learn cycling. So same way with writing also. You will not write perfectly in the first instance. It will take some time, but continue your effort. You will master the skill of writing. Fine? Is it making sense? Yeah? Do you all agree on that? Do we agree on that? that these are the things that is required to improve our writing skill? If yes, can I have a raise of hand, please? Okay. Thank you very much. See, thing is, I'm sure you will be noting it down on a piece of paper also, because you need to jot it down somewhere so that you know what to do going forward once this session is over. Okay, let us move forward. Okay, and I have already touched upon the major aspects of whatever I wanted to discuss today. So some of the things that I sort of addressed was what are why I started with introduction. I said what is the definition of communication. Then I said what is written communication. Then I said what are the key aspects of writing. I said what is required for writing purpose. Then next thing we discuss about the stages in writing, starting from ideation till the final thing. Then we had an imaginary concept as to saying that if there are no words in this world, or there are no books in the library, what will happen to this world? This world is going to go backwards, and we will be going and living in jungles only. It is going to create a lot of problems. The next thing we said was what are the writing types? We said professional writing in the business and then the personal writing. Then the next topic that we touched upon was effective writing tips. I said how do we make writing very effective? जो पर्पस के लिए हमें लिखना है, वो पर्पस अगर अगर हमें अचीव करना है तो हमें क्या करना है? तो we said that starting with completeness, clarity and things like that, and then some correctness, and then precise, direct, simple, and all that. We said these are the things that you will have to develop in writing. Then we said, where will I be writing? Writing is important. Then we said there are so many document types that we will be using in our day-to-day life, whether it is contracts, or whether it is proposals, whether it is property documents or vehicular documents or government organization memos, or even the notification. So all these documents are where you and me will have to put in a lot of effort. We'll have to work towards writing them. If not the immediately, but going forward you will definitely write. The earlier you prepare for all this, the better it is, because you cannot learn all these things going forward. It has to be learned now, so that you are having sufficient time to build your skill of writing. It cannot be done now. It is not like writing an examination where you sit 2 or 3 days before the examination and master the skill. It will not happen that way. You will have to consistently put in effort on a daily basis. Have something where you are having plans to read at least for an hour, something beyond the textbooks. I'm not talking about textbooks alone. It is not the technical knowledge alone that is required. Once you are in the business, you will have to have the skill that is in general, everything outside the textbook, because businesses don't run on a textbook knowledge. Business run on the worldly knowledge. Whatever it exists, whatever challenges are there, one has to be prepared to fight out and find solutions to the problem that are being faced everywhere in the world. The next thing that we said is how do I improve my writing skill. We said few things, and in that one of the things that I said was to write on a daily basis. The simple thing that you and me can get started off is writing your daily diary or daily journal. By writing daily journal, what happens is you're writing something that you know, and subsequently you can also start writing about the other topic. If some of you are trying to get a job, or writing a government job selection exam or something like that, like for example a UPSC, or CGL or something like that, you will have to have writing skill, because they will ask you to write essay type of questions. One cannot go write essay in the examination hall. It's going to be very difficult, because the competition is huge. So for that, you will have to start practicing now. And how do you practice? Create artificial situations wherein you can develop your writing skill. To improve your writing skill, you will have to have your reading skills. To have your reading skills, also you will have to have listening skills. So you will have all these three skills going together, and this will be asked when you go for an any job interview as to what is your reading skill, your writing skill, and your spoken skill of any particular language, and you need to be proficient at least in one language in all these aspects. Only then there are chances of clicking the job. And also, not only getting a job, having got a job also, you'll have a lot of things that you will have to do on a daily basis in terms of writing, whether you're writing messages, whether you're writing letters, whether you're writing proposals, whether you're writing memos between one department to the other department, and all these activities are going to be there, which you will have to spend a lot of time on. So I suggest, it is better we get started. Okay. So now I'll come back to the item that we got started off, saying that is pen mightier than sword. What is the situation now? I mean, having spoken for almost 45 minutes now, do we agree that we are, pen is mightier than sword? Do you agree with that statement saying that pen is stronger than, mightier than the sword? How many of you agree with that? Can you put your hands up? How many of you don't agree with that? Can you at least put up hand? You don't agree that pen is mightier than sword. Okay. Fine. There is another aspect just wanted to show you, and that is, how I can prove that pen is mightier than sword is, even God, whichever religion we follow, even God also interacts with his creation. Specifically, I'm talking about human being is through books, through writing. How are we interacting with, how are we getting the message that has been sent to us from God? We read one of the books, whether you are reading Quran or Bible or Torah or Rig Veda or Guru Granth Sahib, any language, I mean any religion that one follows. How are we getting the message that has been communicated to them by God? It is through writing only, and through writing only we get the message from uh, God. So that is how I got started off saying that pen is mightier than sword, because these are some of the examples which prove that yes, pen is mightier than sword. Thank you. I think I have touched upon a major chunk of things that is required for writing. Now am open
Uh,
for any
thank
questions or clarifications.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Rafiq sir, for such a good session on
Can you be a bit
writing
louder? I
skills.
think.
Now, I would like the participants to please raise the hand if they want to speak or ask any question. So please raise your hand, or if you don't want to speak, then you can write your questions in the chat box. So, anyone, any question?
By the way, how many of you feel that whatever has been discussed is helpful? It is going to help me in increasing my writing skill, whatever has been spoken till now. How many of you agree that yes, it was worth your whatever, almost an hour that we have spent together? So it was worth that hour, sir. I have gotten few things, where I need to work on. How many of you agree on that? Good, good. Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Fahim bhai, and then also thank all the participants who participated in the session today. May God bless you and then help you in your whatever efforts you are going to put in mastering, not only to get into a job, but in your life also.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Okay, thank you.